Okay. Okay. Right. Thank you for being here, everyone. I'm Sannia Farooque. I'm lecturer in medicinal chemistry at the Institute of Cancer Therapeutics at the University of Bradford. And I thought today I would like to talk to you about this forum that I set up, the reason why I thought it could be helpful, how I did it, and some feedback from the members. So one of the major things with STEM subjects is as you progress through your career, quite often you do need a mentor. A mentor can sometimes be make or break for some people's careers, because the way your career progress, quite often you need sponsorships when you're applying for grants or even permanent positions in different faculties. And there's a really good book which talked about what is mentorship, what sort of models do we have, and what can probably help. That's a really good resource. So underrepresented groups are defined as women from different groups, different ethnic groups, as well as people who belong to ethnic minorities, sexual and gender minorities, as well as individuals with both visible and non-visible disabilities. And it has been established that mentoring is very important in STEM professions as you progress through your career. And newer studies have shown that they can be very useful by looking at different people who did have mentors versus people who didn't have mentors. However, when we look at, so there are a couple of studies there when they look at students who were from underrepresented groups, and as they enrolled onto their STEM degrees in the undergraduate and some in their postgraduate, that they received less mentorship from their well-represented peers. Another thing to consider is also, like, sometimes people can have different definition of mentorship as well. So it can vary from person to person. So unless it's a formal mentorship, sometimes people don't think it's a mentorship. So I think that is a caveat here. But generally, that is the trend that we find in the literature. There was a research where they investigated how social capital is accessed in academic mentorship setups at the moment, and that indicated that the current models, most of the current models, and I will talk about some of the models later on in my talk, current mentorship models tend to be structured in a way that they benefit the prototypical STEM mentee, which is while male, heteronormative, continuing generation, and upper or middle class. So sometimes, okay, so a mentorship can help, but how do we define effective mentorship? So again, people's definitions can vary, but we do have a general agreement that an effective mentorship provides aspects of both psychosocial support, as well as career support that can include, helping you with your CV, as well as sponsoring or even guiding you, signposting you to different grant opportunities, things like that. It can include role modeling, and that in role modeling, that relatability, do you relate to people? Can you see yourself in that position? Can you look up to them? General advice, like I said, sponsorship. And then, quite importantly, helping a mentee to develop a supportive network, professional network of mentors and peers, so that they're not just reliant on you. They have a network of people who can help them through their career. And effective mentorship structures can include triads. They can include collective or group mentoring, where people are helping each other. And we are seeing these emerging online and e-mentoring communities coming up as well. So people from different parts of the world can mentor each other. They can come together. So this is not just specific to STEM subjects, but in general, people can, when they have common interests, they can come together on a virtual forum and help each other work towards their targets. So finally, mentorship networks refer to situations in which a mentee taps into a variety of resources and people for mentorship, and that's the sort of work that I have tried to do with this forum. So I'm just trying to change my slide, and there's some delay. Can you hear me? Sorry.
Yes, we can hear you, but okay. we haven't had the slide move on yet.
Okay, I'm trying to, sorry about this. I'm trying to change it, but it's not letting me. Let me try again, please. Okay, right. I think that's working now.
Yeah.
Okay. So my vision with this was, so here's the model that I had in mind after reading some of the literature. So Pearl peer-assisted research and learning forum is in the middle. And what we're trying to achieve with this is to nurture their sense of their science identity. So you start a STEM degree, but that's the beginning. That's like planting a seed, but we need to nurture it so that you can develop that into an identity, and you can see yourself as a scientist in the future. How we can cultivate a sense of belonging, so people can access social capital that would not be available to them otherwise, or as well as having some role models to give career talks, give them some career ideas. So you don't have to just be working in academia. There are multiple options for you as a STEM graduate, as well as accessibility. So people from different backgrounds, different needs are able to access all these resources. So that was my vision for this. So how I started is I had a meeting with our postgraduate tutor. So generally departments have a tutor who's assigned for the general well-being of a specific group of students. So in this case, it's postgraduate. So they would be looking after or overseeing the well-being of master students as well as PhD students. And I spoke to our head of school for authorization, so they know this is what I'm thinking of doing. They were quite happy. Obviously, they also said that, okay, so in terms of resources, do you need anything from us? And as well as you have to look at your workload, things like that. And then I assured them that the way I intend on setting it up is not so it doesn't. It's not just with me. It's a self-sustaining forum. That's the vision. So I set it up on Teams, and the way it works is that, so it's set it up on Teams. It has multiple channels on Teams. So there's a channel for funding, conferences, well-being, and then specific research topic channels. So what people can do, people can post their day-to-day questions there, as well as if they had a question about an upcoming conference or a funding. And even if they don't have questions, they can see questions or posts by other people who have posted. So if you find out, if I go to a conference like this one, and if I want to post about it, I can post it on the channel that, okay, it's free, it's virtual. So if you have children or the caring responsibilities, here's a good opportunity. So they have access to all the information that they wouldn't necessarily have otherwise. As well as anybody from the group members can answer their question. So if they have a research specific question, let's say they're working in the lab and they don't have their supervisor is somewhere and they need to ask a question, a research specific question that they're dealing with on that day, they can post and hopefully somebody from the group will be able to answer that rather than them having to wait to see their supervisor. So what I did was also I appointed a postgraduate member. So the postgraduate member, so they can represent the views as well as the ideas from the PhD students and master students. I also thought it would be useful to appoint a postdoctoral research assistant representative because these are the people with more research experience. So it'd be good to have them in the team because they will be much better place to answer some of these research questions if some student posts those questions on the forum, and also advertise for an undergraduate representative, but we don't have an undergraduate representative yet, but we will continue to work towards that. So here's the model that we are working with here. So the network with the mentoring model. So we have mentee and in the middle, and we have resource node. So resource node refers to all the information that will be available to them through the team channels, and they can access all that information from there. We have mentor nodes, so they're not relying on one mentor. So anybody who's there, so it's a peer mentoring platform, so they have access to all those mentors who can answer their questions and help them, and as well as if they wish to, they can also arrange to meet with each other if they want to discuss anything further. And then have some skills workshops. So these skills workshops, like specific skills workshops that so we can use our own members. If you have specialty in a specific area, can you deliver a skills workshop? So in chemistry, we have certain skills that students can really struggle with when they're starting in the beginning. So these workshops can give them sort of like a hands-on experience from somebody who has done that, and then they can have a go at it as well. As well as some career seminars. So that gives them an inspiration of and the ideas, as well as some role models, and that they can look up to. And we've arranged a few career talks from there. Okay, so that's the model. And then, so what I did was, of course, feedback is important. You may think an idea is good, but you should really, you have to ask people if they think it's useful or not, and also how we can improve it. So there were 95 members in 3 months, which I was quite pleased with, because in my previous experience, when you set up a group or some sort of a forum, it can take some time for it to get running and going. Majority of the members are from underrepresented groups, and then we have members at different career stages. And by that I mean, the undergraduate student is at the earlier stage of their career, and then you have the master's and PhD, and then sort of. So we are all on this trajectory, just at different stages, and we have members from across those stages. So we sent a questionnaire to all the members, asked for the informed consent, and we didn't receive from 23 of them, and the rest out of that 95, and rest of them responded. And I put some figures together for you. I apologize that there was a bit of an oversight, so the color between strongly agree and strongly disagree looks very similar, but it isn't. On my screen, when I did it, it was looking different, and now it looks bit. But nobody strongly disagreed. Just to let you know. But yeah, I did. I should have used yes, I should have checked it. I asked them, Pearl, the forum, do they think if it can increase their social capital? And vast majority of them thought, they agreed that it can. They think it can. It doesn't necessarily mean that they think it already has. It's not something that is been already achieved, but it has a potential, I suppose, to increase the social capital. So having access to all the information on the teams through the team's channels can increase their social capital. And a small number of them thought neutral, that they felt neutral about it, that it's, so they were neutral about the question. This is, so do they think it can cultivate this science identity? So this is about, I would say, like about 50% of thought, 50% agreed. And then we do have, so I think this is the question where I have the largest number of people think being neutral. By largest, I mean, here you can see in pink, it's still not like as much as the ones who agreed, but still. And I think that can also, it depends. So, some research groups are large research groups. So they have like a lot of research members in their groups, and also they may relate to those research members that are in their group. And then there are some groups that are really small and then there are some, of course, who are at earlier stages, like undergraduate. So I think it can vary how, where they are at in their career, and other people they are interacting with on day to day, and that of course would impact whether they feel they need something else to enhance their science identity or not. So this was really good. So the vast majority of them thought, strongly agreed that we arrange useful career talks for them. So this was like, it's sort of like the first, let's say, objective being achieved, or very close to being achieved. And so I was quite pleased with that. And so vast majority of them either strongly agreed or agreed. So that was really good. And this continues. We continue to arrange talks, and we have, and also we try to get people to present from different, who've gone and done something slightly maybe different after doing a STEM degree, not just academia, but we did have somebody from academia. Then we have somebody who went and had their spin out company. And then we had somebody who went into teaching into schools and things like that. Another one was, okay, so do they feel that it has increased their sense of belonging? So again, vast majority of them thought that it did, and some agreed, vast majority agreed strongly, some agreed, and then some thought that they were neutral about it. So I think there is a little bit of overlap between like number of people. I mean, I'm not necessarily saying it's the same people, of course, who thought the sense of belonging, and previously when we thought about the science identity, but it's just the number of them. There is I think some similarity there. Then I asked them to give us some open comments, and some of them said that, okay, larger team to keep it running when contracts run out. So obviously PhD students finish, and the postdocs also finish. And I mean, they don't know how we are running, I think, but we do have, I mean, we don't have a larger team, but we do have representative across. And the way it's set up is that you advertise before you're about to finish. We do appoint more people, but perhaps having more than one postgrad student across different years would be useful. Somebody said invite more external speakers. So we have had 2 external speakers. So they would like to see more, probably, you know, variety. So yeah, that was good feedback. Then arrange some in-person talks. So yeah, so again, the reason why I was more keen on it being virtual is because I was acutely aware of people who are from underrepresented groups who can feel alienated in the general research setups, or in the general, like, day-to-day how it's ran in the university, and or let's say, you know, they're carrying responsibility and they can't actually be there in person, but they can tune in to attend a workshop online or like a talk online. So but there's still some people who think they would benefit from in-person talks. So I suppose it's the matter of finding that balance where you have, you know, some virtual talks and some in-person talks. So we are catering to both groups. And then there was also a comment about they would like it to continue. They would want more involvement from PIs and postdocs to persuade students to use. So basically, this is about that, because generally people can get we can get quite focused on our research. You know, we're working on a research topic in our labs, and we can get quite focused and sort of like lose sometimes track of what else is going on outside our research projects. So and sometimes we need encouragement from our supervisor, our PI, our postdocs. Okay, this would be useful. I think you should engage with this. So, you know, using those Teams channels more regularly, posting there, responding to other people. So I think that's what this comment was probably aiming at. And you can connect to people from across the school. And we also have got some members who were from the biology department. So it's beginning to grow to become a bit more interdisciplinary, because a lot of projects these days are interdisciplinary. Okay, I'm sorry if I went too fast over those things. If there are any comments and questions, I'd be happy to take them, or you can post them on Padlet later on, or even email me. I hope my email details are somewhere. Thank you for listening.
Brilliant and amazing. I am so impressed at the timings of everybody's presentations today. We do have a minute left before our slightly early lunch break. Has anybody got any questions? And I'm sorry if I missed this, because I was trying to tweet at the same time, so I might have missed it. I gather this was quite an informal network,
Yes.
And I just wondered, had you thought about pairing any of these students, you know, students up, sort of like a postgrad student with an undergrad student or anything like that? Was it all just sort of like a much more, like they're all in the same pot, rather than actually forming sort of you're a specific mentor?
Yeah. So with this one, because this is a network mentoring model. And the way it works is that it's about having that network, not pairing. It doesn't work like that. And it has its own, I guess, advantages and maybe disadvantages as well, like you said. I mean, people do have the opportunity of when they meet during talks or workshops, that they can, or even if somebody posts a question, another person answer, and if they want to meet up with them, but not so much in the pairing. Because one of the things with pairing mentorship is it's sort of like, it can be really good if you end up with somebody really good, and then it can be really not productive as well at the same time. So it can be a bit of a matter of luck as well sometimes. So with this one, our aim was to give them access to a network of mentors, a bit more informally, but also so they don't feel, they sort of feel like they're equally involved in the process, you know, in this growth and in this development, and everybody's equally involved, and there is sort of like, no, it's not like a tier, and, you know, they're all at the same level, if that makes sense.